In this demo, we're going to take a look at the ScanWorks application and how the configurations work within Dynamics 365. Notice the ScanWorks configuration interface is built directly into Dynamics, with the management functions in the right menu alongside the standard Dynamics functions. Clicking on the DSI ScanWorks menu displays a full list of ScanWorks configuration and management tools. Drop-down lists provide easy access to configuration choices and settings. Notice that ScanWorks has full access to the dynamic labels for multilingual support, and as a safety measure, we will gray out fields to protect some values if changing them will break in an app. The side menu shows that any field in any app can be easily configured. Our interface is purpose-built to provide the fastest, most efficient path through inventory transactions. Most competing products are prompt and response-based, which means one question is asked at a time, and users can get lost in the process, can't see their progress toward completing an action, and can't tell what is coming next. While this looks like a form, the users aren't randomly asked about data. ScanWorks directs them through it. This is a standard transaction conducted in one of the mobile apps. This particular app is called Transfer, which posts inventory transfer journals for moving items within a warehouse. Typically, users enter data by scanning or entering the number, and you'll notice that every entry is checked in real time against Dynamics inventory status. The values that are entered are not just checked against the Dynamics inventory status, but also within the context of everything entered so far. So in this case, since the item was scanned, only locations containing that item could be selected in the second field. Each one of these clicks simulates an action that the mobile user takes, and this particular app is configured to require 3 scans and then enter a quantity. You'll note that the Save button does not appear until the entire form is validated and ready to post back to Dynamics. This reduces the possibility for incomplete or incorrect posts back to Dynamics. Once saved, all of the posts are sent back to Dynamics in real time, and a status message notifies the user that the post was successful, and the form resets to accept the next action. The cursor is also positioned so that the user does not have to reposition or touch the screen. It's immediately ready for the next scan. You'll note that the cursor went back to the item field after the transaction was posted. ScanWorks apps are incredibly flexible. Everything that you see is in the same app, simply configured to match different business practices. We'll use this transfer app again for the demo, and in this case, it's configured for standard item movements with no extra dimensions. This is the same app, but now batch, size, and color fields have been enabled. If you work with multiple types of inventory, ScanWorks intelligently skips over dimensions that don't apply. This is still the transfer app, but we have now traded out all of dimensions for serial numbers only. In this final example, we have disabled most dimensions and removed all informational and read-only fields to create an incredibly simple form that still performs the full Dynamics logic. Not only are the forms configurable, but the user experience is as well. You can adjust fonts, colors, and sizes all using configurations, and these settings can be made at a device level, so iOS users can see something different from Android users, or that tablet users have larger touch-friendly forms while handheld users have more concise interfaces. Advanced customers can make even more significant changes to the interface by editing the cascading style sheets built into the HTML5 client. This demonstrates a customer that has changed the background color for dev environments to ensure that users are always reminded of their environment. And this shows how the same customer can use a different background color to show users when they're connected to a production environment. In this case, all the font sizes and data entry boxes have been enlarged, such as for a vision-impaired user or for a larger tablet-style device. This shows that the product is running in an alternate language, which can be configured for each user. This final screen demonstrates one alternate color scheme to a high-contrast version for low-light environments or to match corporate branding. ScanWorks offers multiple levels of validation that have 2 primary functions: speed up data entry and reduce errors. Client-side validation provides users instant feedback when data entered does not match defined rules on each data field. These rules are configurable and flexible without paid modifications. In this example, the user has scanned a location value into an item field which the system recognized does not match the format for inventory items. The field is turned red to visually cue the user that their data entry requires attention. Correcting the error immediately clears the exception and the cursor moves to the next field. After passing the instant client-side validation, the server performs a second, deeper check on each entry, specifically checking against on-hand inventory, open orders, and the like. In this case, the user did scan a location into the from location field, but within the context of the item ID that was scanned into the previous field, the location itself is not valid. For example, there are no items currently on hand at that particular location. Details of the error are provided on the status line at the bottom of the form. You should also note that the invalid entry is highlighted in blue. And this is important because it means that the user does not have to backspace or erase the invalid data. They are already positioned to simply scan again, placing the bad value. Scanning a valid location containing this item passes validation on both the client and the server side, and the error message disappears, and the cursor advances to the next field. Lists of values are a key differentiator over other products. ScanWork's list of values only show valid options for the current field, and not just good values at a high level, but only values that are valid within the context of the data that has been entered so far. Lists of values can be opened using the command menu, swiping the HTML5-based clients, or using hotkeys for quick and easy access. Lists can be configured to allow users to make selections, or can be marked as read-only where the users can see suggestions, but must still scan the actual item, promoting paperless processes but continuing to enforce accountability. Instead of selecting an option, we will return to the field and filter the search to return more relevant results. Item fields allow wildcard searches, which allow users to enter a few letters or even entire item ID to limit the options returned by the list of values. Selecting an item from the list automatically returns the value to the form and runs it through validation and advances the user to the next field. Smart barcodes are an incredible differentiator because they allow customers to define their own barcode logic that utilizes numerous capabilities within ScanWorks and Dynamics itself, including concatenated barcodes, G10 conversions, vendor barcode lookup, GS128 decoding, serialized inventory autofill, and variant number lookup, and more. In this example, the user is scanning a smart barcode containing both the item ID and the batch number separated by a semicolon. ScanWorks recognizes the combined values and fills in both fields, reducing the number of scans required. Smart barcode shortcut logic goes even further by replacing what would traditionally be extremely long concatenated 2D barcodes and shortening them to a few characters long. This example demonstrates scanning a vendor's barcode, and the item ID is automatically translated into your company's item ID. This is especially useful during receiving, where arriving items carry a vendor barcode and have not yet been relabeled with your own internal label. Auto-populate is an extraordinarily useful product differentiator, and in some cases, there's only one logical answer to a question. You could enforce 100% accuracy by having users scan every value, or improve efficiency by auto-populating the value for which the system already knows the answer. Keep in mind that it is 100% configurable, so customers can turn it on or off as needed. This first example demonstrates conducting a normal inventory transaction using serial and location dimensions. With auto-populate turned off, the user still makes it through the transaction quickly, but they're prompted to scan each response, requiring a total of 5 scans. The second example uses the same app, all with the same fields, except this time auto-populate is enabled. And in this case, we're scanning a serial controlled item. Since every serial number is unique, by scanning a serial number into an item field, we already know everything about the item, where it is in the warehouse, and more. Auto-populate allows the system to complete all those values without user interaction and reduce 5 scans down to 3. Every scan saved is 1 second per transaction per hour per user per day, saving hundreds of labor hours over the course of a year, 1 scan at a time. Also of interest when it comes to saving time, you may have noticed that the Save button does not light up until the form is ready to submit. In the spirit of auto-populate, ScanWorks also has the ability to automatically post a transaction without requiring the user to press the Save button once the last value is entered, saving yet another key press and another half second on each transaction. Printing is an extraordinarily powerful feature in ScanWorks, and we do things no one else can do. Our printing is hands down the most flexible, most configurable label printing solution on the market in any mobile data collection solution. Pair this with Print Envoy, and we bring that same level of flexibility and capability into Dynamics clients as well. ScanWorks already prints out of the box in all the places where it makes sense, such as during PO receiving or picking. The real power comes into play through configuration. Customers can easily configure any app to print at nearly any time, even multiple labels in different formats, specific printer routing, and custom label contents, all without any paid modifications. Apps can also use Dynamics Print Management for reports and documents such as bills of lading, packing slips, and more. Here we're demonstrating using ScanWorks PO Receipt app to bring inventory into the warehouse. This app prints out of the box. But in this example, we've added 2 additional print events through configuration and not paid modifications. After we validate the batch field, this app has been configured to send a separate batch label. That comes out as the field is validated and would ideally be printed on a belt-worn label printer so the user will immediately have the label available as they're working with the box. As we post the arrival journal, we have configured ScanWorks to print an item label for the item itself, as well as to print a packing slip using Dynamics Print Management. We've spent a lot of time talking about how configurable ScanWorks is, and this is a great example. Customers have the ability to add custom text areas, headers, and static text fields supported by Dynamics queries, with no coding required in ScanWorks. This demonstration adds 2 custom fields to the transfer app to provide additional information to workers on the warehouse floor. After an item ID is entered, a query has been added to the app which retrieves and displays this customer's custom compliance information. Note that none of these values are standard Dynamics fields, and any information available, even custom fields, can be displayed in ScanWorks. Queries driving custom fields can be built by the customer, the business partner, or the ScanWorks implementation group if needed. As a final example, after scanning a location field, this app has been modified to run an additional query which displays available space remaining in the selected put-away location. Imagination is the only limit when it comes to what can be accomplished through the dynamic configuration options built into ScanWorks. This concludes the ScanWorks interactive demo. One thing to note, ScanWorks apps share similar structure and architecture. This means that users can be introduced to a new functionality and processes without a steep learning curve or additional training. This best-in-class data collection, optimized for accurate, efficient entry, and specifically built to enhance and optimize Microsoft Dynamics. For a detailed customer walkthrough, contact a sales engineer for a live demo.